Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video on Build with Scratch. Today, we're going to create an exciting game called Rocket Escape. In this game, every time you click, the player switches between moving up and moving down. If the player hits an obstacle, the game is over. As you can see, the project starts with the default Scratch Cat. We don't need it for this game, so let's delete it. Now, let's create a new sprite and draw a square. Make sure to hold down the Shift key while drawing so the square stays perfectly even. I'll set the size to 77 by 77 because I think it works best for this project. Next, move the sprite's center point to the middle of the left side. Then place the sprite in the center of the stage. Now remove one of the extra points, move the remaining point to the center, and make the shape a little smaller. Perfect! Our player sprite is now ready. Now let's move on to the coding section. First, set the X and Y positions exactly like mine. Now let's move on to coding. As you know, almost all Scratch projects start with the When Green Flag Clicked block. First, we add a hide block and set the character's direction to 90 degrees. Then we add another When Green Flag Clicked block and place a forever loop inside it to check whether the mouse button is being pressed. By the way guys, this tutorial is a bit more advanced. If you're just starting out with Scratch, some parts may be difficult for you. If you'd like us to make simpler tutorials too, be sure to let me know in the comments. Now we create a new variable called up and down, and when the green flag is clicked, set its value to 0. Then we go back to the code that was checking whether the mouse button was pressed. Each time a click happens, we increase the value of the up and down variable by 1. Now let's continue writing the code. After the variable value changes, we stop this script and send a message called up. We make a copy of this script, but this time, instead of using when green flag clicked, we use the when I receive up block. Inside this script, instead of increasing the variable by 1, we decrease it by 2. Now we add a condition. If the variable value is equal to 1, we send a message called down. We copy this code again, but this time we set the condition to -1. Before running each script, we wait 1/10 of a second, and then the code runs when the down message is received. Now let's test the game. As you can see, with each click the variable changes, and the character moves up and down. Now we add 2 new scripts. In the first script, we say that if the variable value is equal to 1, the player's direction should be set to 60. In the second script, we say that if the variable value is equal to -1, the player's direction should be set to 120. Let's test the game again. Great. Now the player not only moves, but also changes direction. Do you remember that at the beginning of the tutorial we added a hide block? Now we place it inside the when green flag clicked script. We also remove the extra script that started with when green flag clicked and increase the variable value because we'll need that block again later in the tutorial. Now it's time to move on to creating the next character. Now let's add a new sprite. I'm not going to give it a name for now, so I'll just leave it as a question mark. Next, let's start designing the sprite. First, draw a square. Don't forget to hold down the Shift key while drawing so the shape stays perfectly even. Now change the square's color to blue and open the costume editor. Next, just like I'm doing, add an extra point near each corner to make the corners nice and rounded. After that, duplicate the square several times to create a checkerboard pattern like mine. I'll speed through this part, so just follow along. Now color one tile white and the next one blue. Then continue the same pattern. Once you're done with the design, add the code exactly as I do. Move the sprite to position 0. 0 then, make it move upward slightly, and repeat that movement forever. If you run the game now, it looks like the background is moving infinitely, even though it's actually just a repeating pattern. I'll make a few small adjustments here, and then we'll move on to creating the rest of the sprites. Now let's go back to the background code. Inside the forever loop, add a go to back layer block so the background always stays behind the other sprites. Next, create a new sprite. In the Costumes tab, draw a rectangle and round off the corners, just like I do to give it a cleaner look. Now duplicate this rectangle 6 times. In the first costume, type very easy, and in the second costume, type easy. Complete the rest of the difficulty levels just like I'm doing on the screen. You can simply follow along for this part. Finally, rename this sprite to difficulty and set its X and Y positions exactly like mine. Let's name this sprite difficulty and set its X and Y positions just like mine. Now, let's create another sprite to change the difficulty level. Draw a triangle, then round off its corners to make it look better. Write the letter R on one arrow and L on the other. Then place them exactly like mine. Next, duplicate one of the difficulty costumes and create a new sprite called Start. Change the text on this button from very easy to start. Now create a new variable called difficulty. For the right arrow, add code so that when this sprite is clicked, the difficulty variable increases by 1. For the left arrow, do the opposite so the difficulty variable decreases by 1. Also, make it possible to change the difficulty using the left arrow and right arrow keys on the keyboard. Now let's move on to the background. When the green flag is clicked, set the difficulty variable to 3, and make both the left and right arrows appear. Then switch to the difficulty sprite. When the green flag is clicked, show the sprite. Forever check the following. If the difficulty value is greater than 6, set it to 1. If the difficulty value is less than 1, set it to 6. Finally, forever set the sprite's costume to match the value of the difficulty variable. Now let's test the game. Perfect. The difficulty selection menu is working exactly as it should. I hope you enjoyed this video. In the next part, we'll continue building the rest of the game together. If you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.